So this is what we're starting with. This is what the driver's door looks like when it's done, the way I did it. It ain't pro level, but the color's close, and it looks pretty good. Pull a little cover. There's a little cover right here that comes out. And you'd have one of these. 2 screws here. They're different. The black one goes in the handle, the silver one goes in the door. This just pops up. Little clips right here, removes these. You just squeeze in on them. No biggie. This just pops off. Be careful with your tweeter. Clips right here. If you yank on that too hard, you can break your tweeter. Sometimes the door clip stays in. Get that little line out. Put it back on the panel. So it's ready to go back together later. It just pops off. Oh. Forgot this little clip. You just push in about a quarter of an inch, and it just pops out. The little nugget's still on the end. Over here, Maria. Can you see these? These just pop straight out. No big deal. They come right out. You just get them over here and straight up. They just come right off. Of course, I forgot. When your door panel's loose at the bottom but still attached to the top, unhook your light. It's a lot easier. Okay, we'll start by getting this rail off of here. Super easy to do. These little clips just bend. That's all you gotta do. Bend them straight with your finger. Pops right off. No big deal. You gotta take all the screws out here. All the screws out under here. These screws are silver. These screws are brass looking color. These screws are shorter. These screws are longer. Okay, shut up. Once the screws are out, the front pushes down and slides out that way. There's your door handle. Okay, once the screws are out the bottom, and I did note the screw here is silver, so it'll be the short screw goes here. The rest of them are the long screws. Once the screw's out, door pull will come off. Okay, now you're down to the panel. This is it's not real tricky, but they've melted these on here. That's one thing they talk about on the Sequoia owner's site. I just pick on it and it'll move a little bit. I'll lift my pliers up there. I've been taking pliers and working around there. You want to leave some plastic there because at the end we got to melt these all back together. So you get the idea. On this felt insulation, noise insulation, I've been gluing them back on. So you just force the plastic off best you can, pull it up like that. Like that. So we have to repeat that here, 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 here. These. There's one underneath this felt. I will work on those and we'll get back to you. Okay, so I've gotten these all loose. We're going to take this off. We're going to glue it on later, so we're not worried about that. Show you one trick I have learned. Heat gun. Warm the little plastic thing up. Don't want to get it too hot, but it does make it pliable. So you can push this around a little bit. Didn't make it that pliable. So it had been on these, it softened them up, made them a little easier. I don't know about this one. I don't think it's going to be easier. I did use pliers, kind of squeeze them together. All we're trying to do is get them together so they'll come out. That's what we're looking for right there. There it goes. Okay. Oh, still got one up here. Can you turn it up? Okay, so I've got all the plastic squeezed and pushed so it falls out of there. It's not pretty, but there's pieces left that we can melt down later, and I'll show you how to do that. This is behind this, and I really don't want to do all these, so I just push it down to pull it out of there, and I will show you how I squeeze it back in there later. And we have our panel. So all we're going to do is peel this off right here. They've just glued it on. That's all they have done. So we're just going to peel this off. They have glued, see where the blue is? Toyota has just glued that on there. Just comes right off. Note how they folded that. So when we go back together, we'll fold the sides in, then we'll fold the top in. Okay, we've pulled this off. It's just glued on. We have pulled this off. And where are the other ones? I'm on my third one. This is all you got left. This is what we're fixing. Okay, so I bought this from Amazon. I'll try to include a link. What I don't like is it's kind of creased where it was folded, probably in China or Taiwan. So I did it both ways. I have one where the crease runs this way, and you can really see it. So I've got the crease going this way. Sorry, here's our door panel. I got the crease going up and down, and it was barely noticeable on the last one I did. So basically I have this long sheet that I bought from Amazon, and all I'm going to do is cut it way bigger than it needs to be, and then we'll start gluing and we'll trim later. You don't need a pair of Milwaukee scissors, but if you're doing the door panels on your wife's Sequoia, surely she'll let you spring for those. Okay, so I've cut this bigger than it needs to be. We've got it laid out in the direction we're going to want it to go. And remember, I'm not a professional interior guy. This is just something I figured out how to do, or yeah, basically. This is the glue we bought at my wife's fabric shop she buys stuff at. It just sprays like that. Fold it over. Basically all I've been doing. I just get nervous to cut too much off until I get it stuck. When you get it stuck, just keep pushing the bubbles out. If you've ever done tint before, it's seems to be kind of like that. And then we will trim it. Now that we have the exact length. And it'll fold under. We will glue the bottom later. That's really how I do that. And I just do, you know, like this tail section first. Just get all the bubbles out of it. Trim it a little better. Get it down here to where we can, you know, where it's really looking nice. Then I fold the part that's not glued down. Back over to the trash can. Okay. Keep the glue off your fingers, or you have to start over. It's pretty forgiving. If you get it in a bad spot, you can pull it back up. You just keep working it until you get it really nice. Okay, so started with a big sheet. We glued it on piece by piece, a little bit at a time, just pushing it out, making sure there's no bubbles in it. Then I have come back with my fancy scissors and trimmed it, similar to what it looked like from the factory. The overhang here just goes to this lip, and that's going to matter later. We don't want it coming all up to here. This is about 2 centimeters, just enough so it can fold over. Same with this one, just enough so it can fold over. And the bottom one is down to here because there's clips that'll go into here when we put it together. And on here, you cut it with a knife, cut it out with the scissors, so this all folds back. When we put the door thing in, it'll be folded back. So I'll put glue here, fold these over, and then we'll glue this and put this one on last. So this is the finished product. We've glued and folded the ends. glued and folded this one at the end. The trim will help hold this down. Most important part I can see is rolling this over, making sure this is nice, because that's what everybody's going to see if there's an air bubble. I cut out this. You can mimic the original or just cut it and fold it over and glue it. And we'll get the door panel back over here. We're going to go back together, put that down in there. That's the part we have to get back under. Still about half gooey. There we go. Get your pieces to pop back through, and then what I did before, stand it up and check your fit here, because that's the part that needs to fold under. Go. Okay, so once you have your pins back through, I had to pull some of the slag off so they would pop back through. You can heat them up any way you want to. As kind of a car guy, I never use a soldering iron for anything anyway. I'll use it for that. Just you want to make sure you push up from the bottom, make sure that's tight, so we don't want to have the door panel loose on a Toyota. That's how I'm doing that. I'll finish the rest of these and get back with you. Okay. We got the screws back in, we put our panel back in here, put all of our brass colored screws in here, our silver screw here, we put our door latch back in just like we took it out, put all the silver screws here. We have the torque turned way down on your screw gun so you don't strip out all these plastic screws. You don't want anything to end up loose. One thing we learned is the tip on this is very important. I did 2 panels before I did this one. The glue went way better. The original tip that comes with the adhesive puts a nice spray pattern down. I dropped this, shot somewhere in this shop. There's no finding it. So I put a different tip on and it does make a difference. So try to keep the little cover on yours, or don't put it on the back of the bench when you're working on the door panel. And then this piece, our sound insulator, we're going to put back on here. And I did find where I heated that and where I didn't heat it, the heated ones didn't go back together as well. So if you can do that with a pair of undoing your pins that are melted, if you can do that without heating it, I think you'll have better luck. Mine, it's like this black piece melts quicker than the pin, and anyway, it was gooey when I went to go back together, and I think I had better luck earlier. And like I say, we're just going to glue this back in place. We want the original sound insulation that came with the car. Okay, we're going to go put it back on.
There we go.
So the little clips hold the door panel on. Some will inevitably stay in the door. Take your dikes, pop that puppy out of there. There's a little place it just falls into. And with all of our clips in place, we're going to set the door up here. These, obviously you can't get them backwards, but they're kind of hanging where they go. White one's on top, green one's on the bottom. You'll put that little ball in the socket, pull it around, and put the cable down in that hole. It will make a click when it falls in place, so you know you got it. Click. Then all we got to do is rest the lip of that door right there in the seal. Yeah, that didn't turn out too bad. With our glue the way it was, it didn't glue as evenly as my other doors. So while it's here, before we put any screws in, find our wires. Yay. I'm going to plug in our light at the bottom. Easier said than done. Yay. Okay. So that is pretty much, make sure your wire's hanging out for your tweeter. Make sure these wires are hanging out. And then look and see if your pins are kind of aligned. And then it's on there. Our little clip we had earlier. Take the pin out, put the pin in the top. Just push the pin in. That's it for that. Dark color screw goes down there. Silver screw goes right there. Sure, you could use your electric screw gun, but there's only 2 screws. It's that easy. Little fancy cover goes in there. Make it look nice. This plate just has clips on the back. Snaps in like that. Easy cheesy lemon pleasy. Luckily they only plug in one way. You can't get them backwards. That easy. We have all of our clips. Plug our tweeter in carefully. That's it.